Yeah, it is always good to start at with the topic objective so that you know exactly what is expected of you as a learner. I hope you can see what I have projected there. Can you see that, Deborah or Femi? Can you see what I have projected on the shared notes? Femi, can you see that? You know, if you don't talk to me, I don't know how we are going to interact.
I'm trying to open it.
Shared notes, click on that particular part where you can see the list of names. At the topmost,
Yes.
you have seen that, eh?
Yes.
Deborah, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, then let's continue. So we are saying that by the end of this topic, the learner should be able to, number one, a learner, which is you, you're supposed to understand the principles of defamation or the principles of law of defamation. Yes, we will look at those principles. That before you say that somebody is defamed or somebody defamed you, what are some of the things that you look at so that you can qualify that what he has said or he has done as defamation? Another thing or another objective of this particular topic is that at the end of this, by the end of this topic, you must be able to produce articles that are not defamatory. Remember, we said that this is a very important this is a very important unit, and this is a unit that will guide you all through your career. All through your career. So everything that you'll be doing out there, like collecting news, like packaging news, like disseminating those news, you are going to be guided by what we call the law of the media ethics or media ethics law and regulation. This particular topic will guide, this particular unit will guide you. But if you're doing it for the sake of doing it, then I think in the long run, you might forget these things and you might cause havoc in that particular company as far as defamation is concerned. The next thing we are also going to look at the end of this lesson, we are going to look at, or we are going to be able to learn about, or you should be able to have the right legal precaution in potentially defamatory article. Have the right legal precautions in a potentially defamatory action. So I don't want to waste much time. Let's move exactly to what we call defamation. And maybe I can ask before I start to share my notes there. Eh? Mokeni, what can you tell us? What do you understand by the term defamation? Deborah, I'm asking, what do you understand by the term defamation?
Defamation is distorting someone's image, public image, or something like that.
Can you come again?
Distorting someone's public image or name.
Femi, what do you understand by that, defamation?
I can say it's saying something wrong about someone or false allegation about someone.
A false allegation about someone. But now, before we go to what defamation is, let's just look at what defamation is. Now, when you talk about defamation, these are false statements that are said to someone or somebody. And these false allegations or statements that are said or are directed to someone or somebody usually may lead to what we call shunning him or her being shunned off by the community. It may lead to him being ridiculed by the society. It may lead him being done what? it may lead him actually to losses. It may lead him to losses. Now, that is what we call defamation. So it may lead to three things. Number one, an individual being shunned off by the community. No, being ridiculed, being shunned off by the community. Number two, being ridiculed by the society. And number three, leading to losses. So those are the three things that it can lead. So when you're defining defamation, we usually say that it is telling, or actually saying false allegations about someone or telling lies about someone that may lead him being shunned off by the community, being ridiculed by the society, and also being or making him lose in terms of if he had a business, he loses because customers will run away from him or her. Now, having said that, we can actually say that defamation can be classified into two broad categories. So defamation can either be classified into libel or it can be classified into what we call slander. So when you hear somebody saying it was slanderous or this is slander, just know that that is defamation. But now, what is libel? Libel is defamation in written format. Libel is defamation in written format. It is considered to be in permanent form. Why? Because it is either put on a CD, maybe a photograph, maybe a written, etc., etc. When you look at it, it is in a permanent format. So when you sue somebody for libel, then the case is likely to be taken seriously, more seriously, as opposed to when you sue somebody for slander. Slander is spoken defamation. That when I tell you, you are the biggest thief in this community. You steal our goats, you steal our chicken, you steal our eggs. Now, that is slander. And slander, the reason why it does not take so much weight, it's because it is very difficult to prove in the court of law that this person really did what? Defamed me. Why? Because the person may change the story. He may change the story unless there was a recording, unless you recorded this person when he was calling you a goat or a thief, etc., etc. Now that's how it is. Is there any question apart from that?
No.
You must also understand, let me continue, that the law of defamation has been put in place to protect the reputation of individuals. The law of defamation has been put in place to protect the reputation of individuals. And it provides that every person has a right to a good name. The Constitution says that you, Femi, you have a right to a good name. When I say a good name, I do not mean the name that you are called, Femi. No, I don't mean that. What I mean is that a good name is a good reputation. Everybody has a right to a good reputation. So you might be called Femi, you might also be called Innocent, you might also be called Princess, but you have a bad name in the society. Like you are the one who does stealing, you're the one who kills, you're the one who does all sort of or all manner of things in your society. You might also be called Ngamia, or you might also be called whatever name, Kamasi, but your name in the society, you have a good reputation in the society. So therefore we can say, and that one is enshrined in the Constitution, that everybody has a right to a good name. That's why defamation is very important. It's very important in the society. So it is the responsibility of the media, actually, to ensure that they as well respect other people's reputation. That's why we are doing what we call the law of defamation. So that when you go out to collect news, you as well, you can do what? You can ensure that you respect other people's reputation. So that when you're writing news on the newspaper, when you're writing something about somebody on the newspaper, you are saying something that is true about him or her. Because once you write something that is not true about that person, then what you are doing is you are defaming that person. And you'll have to face it in the court of law. So then, let's look at what a defamatory statement is. So we can say that a defamatory statement is a statement, I'm putting it there so that we can read together. We can say that a defamatory statement is a statement that tends to lower the reputation of an individual. So that statement that tends to lower the reputation of someone is usually called the defamatory statement. Of course, it needs to be in the perception of the right-thinking members of the society. The right-thinking members of the society are people that are sane. We have insane and sane people. So the right-thinking member of the society are sane people. Yeah, the right-thinking member, it has even continued saying that a right-thinking member of the society is anyone with a sane mind and can be able to read between the lines and make the decision. So if you can be able to read in between the lines and make a decision, then you are a right-thinking member of the society. So if somebody comes to you, Femi, and calls you names, you must first of all ask yourself, or is that person sane? Because if that person is insane and you take him to court, I think you will lose the case because that person is not a right-thinking member of the society. So that person defaming you must be a person that is a right-thinking member of the society. It must be a sane person. Must be a sane person. The same case happens to you who has been defamed. You must be a sane person. Lazima ukuwe na akili timamu, kwa sababu one of you mkiwa na akili punguani inamaanisha ya kwamba hata tukienda kotini kushtakiana, one of us akienda kushtaki mwingine, hatutashinda hiyo kesi kwa sababu mmoja wetu ako na akili punguani. So nyinyi wote lazima mkuwe na akili timamu ndio muende kotini, muweze kushtakiana kule na sheria ianze kuchukua mkondo wake. So there is no defined definition on what is defamatory statement. There is no defined definition of what is defamatory statement. But we are saying that there is no defined definition of what is defamatory statement, but the court will have to put into consideration the contemporary standards of the society. So we cannot say, okay, we cannot to define a defamatory statement or to actually say that this is a defamatory statement. There are no principles related. I mean, there is a principle relating to that, but it is very difficult for you to actually define what is defamatory statement. But you are being told that for the court now to say that that statement that was made by a person is defamatory, he must consider what we call the contemporary standards. That contemporary standards must apply. Contemporary standards means that what was defamatory 21 years or 30 years ago may not be defamatory today. What may be defamatory 20 years ago might not be defamatory today. That's why you're told that current issues or current standards must apply. So I believe there is no question up to that point. Deborah, do you have a question?
No.
Femi, kuna swali?
No.
Then we continue. And we say that in order to prove defamation, defamation took place, the claimant must show that the defamatory language by the defendant was defamatory in content. So for you to take somebody to court and say that this person actually defamed me, you must look at the content. If the content was a video, if the content was a statement that was written on a newspaper, if the content was actually a paragraph, not a photograph, then you must see that particular content. So that whatever has been said about you must be defamatory in content. It must be referred to the claimant. Remember, the claimant is somebody who is claiming to be defamed. So those statements or those photographs or whatever or the video must be referred to the claimant. It must be referred to you, Deborah, so that you can say this person has defamed me. And it must be published to a third party. The statement must be published to a third party. For example, Deborah, somebody comes and, okay, Femi writes something bad about you on a paper and gives it to you. That one is not defamation. You can actually say he has abused you, but you cannot say that that is defamation. Unless there was a third party, Mr. Minor was able to read what was written to you, then we can actually say it was defamation. Let me give another example. Another example is this. You are the manager of a certain company, and you usually receive, and you have a secretary, and you have given your secretary permission to be opening letters that comes to that particular company addressed to you. So you are the manager of a company, and you have a secretary with you, and you have given this secretary permission to be opening every letter that comes on that company that refers to you or that refers to that particular company. Now, somebody decides to write a letter. Somebody decides to write a letter, and this time the letter it contains a lot of abuse and a lot of false allegations and so many more and so much more. So this letter is taken to the secretary. So the secretary opens the letter, reads everything from A to Z, and then closes and puts the letter into the envelope and takes it to the manager of the company. We can call that defamation. Why? Because a third person was involved. The secretary was involved. The secretary is the third person. The first person was the writer, and the second person was the owner of the company. Now the third person is the secretary. Now that is defamation. Now that is called defamation. Another thing, every statement that is defamatory, usually carry a different course of action in the court of law. Like, for example, you have written like 10 lines of defamatory statements. Remember, every line that you have written will carry a different action in the court of law. So if one line was costing, like, for example, 1M as damages, so 10 lines, you're going to say 10 times 1 million. So you're going to pay this person 10 million. If the judges rule in the favor of the claimant, then you are going to pay the claimant 10 million as damages, because every line carries a different course of action. So that's how it is. Any question? Any question, Deborah?
No, no question.
Femi, do you have any question? Is it confusing?
No,
Is it confusing you?
somehow.
Somehow, where is it confusing you? That's what you should ask.
I've not understood that part of, in order to prove defamation to take place, the claimant must. Hizo points tatu sijaelewa.
We have said that in order to prove that defamation took place, remember we said defamation is statements that tend to lower someone's reputation, that tend to make him be shunned off by the community, that tends to do what? That actually makes the community ridicule him or her, and that tends to make him lose in terms of business, if he had a business or something. Now, in order to prove that defamation took place, that in order for me to say that now this one is defamation, in order for the court now to say that defamation took place, there must be defamation in the content. Like, for example, the statement that you are reading, you must see that this particular line is defamation, hii nayo, hii ni defamation. That the photograph that you are holding, you can actually say, now this photo, this is not me. This photo, it has been edited and it is not me. Like, for example, you come to realize that there are times when somebody can take your photo, edit it, and like, for example, anaweza kuchukua picha yako anaiedit, alafu anaiweka kule kwa mtandao ya kwamba huyu ni Femi na unaona yeye ni a porn star or something like that, na si kweli. You can be able to prove that it is defamation, that this photograph, this is not me, this photograph has been edited, or these motion pictures have been edited. So it must be defamatory in content. Content, we are talking about what the photograph has, or what the statement has, or what the content has. It must be referred to the claimant. That what has been written must be referred to you, Femi. It must be referred to you. You can actually say, now this statement is referring to me. This statement is describing me exactly. And it must have been published to a third party. A third party is another person apart from the person defaming you. Like, I've given an example of a secretary and the owner of the organization. The owner of the organization gives the secretary, or has already given a secretary, permission to be opening letters that comes to the organization, that relates to the organization, and that relates to the manager or the owner of that company. Now, another person decides to write a very defamatory or a defamatory statement, or decides to write a letter that consists of various defamatory statements, and actually you see, this person, maybe his intention was the letter will go directly to the manager. If the letter would have gone directly to the manager, then that one, there is no defamation. Why? Because a third party has not yet been involved. But if the letter passes to the secretary opens the letter, reads everything and the content in that particular letter, then decides now to take the letter to the manager, we can actually say that that is defamation because a third party has been involved. Like Femi, you can write something negative about Deborah. So if you take that letter that you have written about Deborah, then that one is not defamation. Unless a third party, let's say for example, a third party, another person has read the letter, then we can call it defamation. A third party can be one person. It can also be more than one person. Remember also the judges, when they are deciding about the damages to be paid, damages ni hasara zile ambazo umepitia. They also look at the extent to which the circulation took place. Like for example, if you write a defamatory statement on the newspaper, assume that 20 million people buy newspaper. That means hiyo defamatory statement ambayo umeandika kwa newspaper, already 20 million wameshaisoma. So saa zile judges wanaamua ya kwamba huyu atalipwa kiasi fulani ya pesa, pia wanaangalia huu ujumbe ambao uliandikwa ambao ni defamatory ulifikia watu wangapi. Kama ulifikia mtu mmoja, then ile pesa ambao unafaa kulipwa ama zile damages unafaa kulipwa zinapungua pia. But kama hiyo ujumbe ulifikia watu milioni 3, milioni 4, milioni 10, then kiwango cha zile damages pia inapanda. So that's how it is. I hope I'm understood.
Yes, I've understood.
Yes, now we can continue.
Yes.
So then you are told that before publishing a defamatory statement, this is what you should consider. Before publishing a statement, you should consider this. Before publishing a statement tending to lower the claimant's reputation, the journalist, the editor, or the producer should ask him or herself the following questions. You should ask yourself, is the piece true? Because if the piece is not true, you're supposed to ask yourself, whatever you have written, is it true? Because if what you have written is not true, just know that it is going to be defamation. If that is one thing you should know. Can it be proved to be true? Just know that in the court of law, proving something to be true, that is where the burden is. To prove that the statement is true or it is false, that is where the burden is. And many people lose in court when it comes to proving that the article is true or false. The person, yes, might have blamed you and the information is false. Of course, when somebody defames you, the information is false. Somebody cannot defame you by giving the right information or the true information. If the information is true, then there is no defamation. But if the information is false about you, then there is defamation. So the claimant must be able to prove that the statement that has been published by the defendant is false. And the defendant must be in a position to prove that the statement that he has written about the claimant is true. Deborah, am I confusing you?
No.
Femi,
No.
are you okay?
Yes, yes.
Femi, you are okay. Is there any confusion?
No.
Yes. we are saying that the defendant must be able to prove that the statement that he has written is true about the claimant. On the other hand, the claimant must be able to prove in the court of law that the statement that has been written by the defendant about him or her is false. So the judge, after listening to all those, all what they have been given by the defendant or the claimant, they are going to sit down and to actually rule the case in favor, either in favor of the claimant or in favor of the defendant, depending on who was able to bring more evidence concerning that particular case. If not, then we are told, if not, so you have to ask yourself, is it covered by one of the defenses of defamation? We are going to look at defenses of defamation. So when you talk about defenses of defamation, we are saying, suppose I am the defendant. I've been taken to court concerning a defamatory statement that I wrote. Suppose I'm the defendant. I've been taken to court concerning the defamatory statement that I wrote, and I lost the case. I lost the case. That means that I'm guilty. So I must be able to defend myself. So there are defenses that have been put forward that the defendant may use to defend himself. We are going to look at them as we continue with this particular unit. It's actually the last thing in this particular topic. So then you're supposed to ask yourself, is the subject of the statement likely to sue? Is the subject of the statement likely to sue? That whatever you have written, is it likely? No, the person that you have written about, the person that you have, the statement that you have written about that particular person, then now that person, is he likely to sue you for those statements? Those are the questions you must ask yourself before deciding whether something is, before publishing a story. We've talked about libel, so we can libel and slander. So let's look at what libel is and what constitutes libel. Let's look at what libel is and what it constitutes. So we are saying that libel is defamation in writing. That one we said that, or some other permanent form. For example, recording, audio, or video. So we said that when you talk about libel, it is most of the time, not most of the time, it is usually in a permanent form. It is usually in a permanent form. And it includes things like the audio or video, and they must be recorded. So according to the Kenyan Defamation Act, this form of defamation, will mostly affect the journalists, and the damaged personalities can take an action. That's why you're told as a journalist, always be careful when you're writing something about somebody. Always investigate to get the facts right. Ensure that everything is okay and everything is right, so that in case of any person complaining of defamation, you can actually produce the facts right. You can provide those facts in the court of law. So we have, for example, who may sue for defamation? If you are an aggrieved person, as long as you are living, you can sue for defamation. Also remember, there is no action for the dead. I don't know, when you talk about there is no action for the dead, is that we are talking about if somebody defamed you, and later he died, you cannot go to the to court and sue this dead person. So there is no action for the dead. So a person who can sue for defamation is any person who is aggrieved or who is affected, as long as he is living, can sue for defamation. Also, a corporate body can also sue for defamation. A corporate body, we mean organizations can sue for defamation. Like, for example, you may decide to write something negative about Zitec University, which is not true. If you do that, then Zitec University can sue you. So a corporate body can sue you. Or maybe you write something negative about Safaricom, which is not right. So this corporation called Safaricom can sue you. Or maybe you write something negative about a ministry, maybe Ministry of Health or Ministry of Communication. If you do that, then that corporate body can sue you. So it will be a case between you and Safaricom, you and Ministry of Health. Also, a small group that has been determined by the law can sue somebody. Like, for example, we have these groups, we call them these groups for the youths, the ones that are funded by the government. If you come up with what we call a very good proposal about maybe starting a business or something, that is a group that has been determined by the law. So if you write something negative about that particular group, that group may decide to do what? To sue you. Also, we have commissions that are formed. These commissions, like commissions of inquiries. We have so many commissions of inquiries in Kenya. If you write something negative about these commissions that have been formed to investigate about a certain matter, then that small group or that group can sue you because they have been determined by the law. They have been formed by what we call the law. Also, a political leader can sue for defamation. And when you're talking about a political leader, this is how it is. For example, if a political leader decides to defame a political party, let's say, for example, Wetangula decides to defame Jubilee Party, or to say something that are not right, that are not good about Jubilee Party, then we can actually say that defamation has not taken place. So if Wetangula decides to say negative things and things that are not true about Jubilee Party, that one we cannot consider it as defamation. Defamation will only occur if Wetangula decides to attack another member in Jubilee Party. A very good example is when Babu Owino decided to say something negative about President Uhuru. So that was defamation. Because he was not attacking the party, he was attacking an individual. So if a party attacks another party, there is no defamation. But if a person attacks a member, a person from party A attacks another member from party B, then there is defamation. I've given an example, like when this guy called Babu Owino decided to attack Uhuru Kenyatta, who is a Jubilee flag bearer, then that was defamation. Any question? Femi?
No, no question.
Deborah, is there any question?
No. No question.
So we are good.
Yes.
Khalid zaidi anaingia kwa group na amechelewa, amemiss a lot Now, if you come late, it becomes very difficult to actually do what? It becomes very difficult to catch up because the other group members, you see, because of COVID, hatuwezi kutana, becomes very difficult. So, Halid, welcome. I don't know whether you have left others. So we go. We have said that the people who can sue for defamation is any aggrieved party, as long as they are living. And we have also said that there is no action for the dead. So if somebody defamed you and he died, you cannot go to court and now start taking action about that person. We have also said that a person who may sue for defamation is a corporate body. For example, Safaricom. We have also talked about, for example, Zitech University can sue for defamation. If you write something negative that is not true about Zitech University, they may sue you. So the case will be Femi versus Zitech or Femi versus University of Nairobi, etc. And we also said a small group of people that has been determined by the law can also sue for defamation. And the other thing, the last one, we have said that a political leader also may sue for defamation. A political leader may sue for defamation. Now, who may be sued? A person who may be sued is a person responsible for publication of defamatory statement. So if you are responsible for publication of a defamatory statement, then you can be sued. So we are going to something else. We're going to something else. Let me rub what I've written here, everything. So that we go to defenses. So let's look at defenses of defamation. Defenses of defamation. So this is number one. Number one, we have truth stroke justification. Deborah, what do you understand by that? Deborah, what do you understand by the true justification stroke truth?
I think it means that the person who said something defaming about another was justified. I think.
Can you talk
Justified
again?
to make the statement. I'm saying. I think it means that the person who said something defaming about another was justified to say it. I'm not sure, or it is true.
John, what do you understand by that? You have come, you have just joined us. I don't know where you are. Remember, we have already covered almost half of everything. So these are the what? These are the consequences of joining a class late. You will float until that class is over. And even if I give you the notes, you might read the notes and you might not even benefit much from the notes. Those who are joining us right now, I can actually see all of you. What I'm saying is this: the notes might not even help you, because the most important thing is to understand. Those who are joining us, Akina Agnes, Akina Khalid, John Mutinda, you are joining us right now. These notes might not even help you, unless, that's why it is always important to, when the teacher starts the class, you are there. Actually, we did not start on time. We started at around 8:15, 8:16, and we were waiting for you people to join. And you are not able to join on time. So if you are not able to join on time, remember, I will not wait for that. Because at the end of the day, there is what we call, there is a goal that I'm trying to achieve. We have like how many topics? We have like 10 topics that I'm supposed to cover. So if we come late, or we start joining the meeting late, then it becomes difficult for me to cover. And I'm not going to allow you to become an obstacle as far as covering the syllabus is concerned. Now, those who are here, we actually said about that, for example, you can be taken to court. Somebody can sue you for defamation. If this person sues you for defamation, this person who is suing you for defamation is known as the claimant. Is the person saying that this guy, or is the person claiming to be defamed? Like Femi, if you write something negative about me and I take you to court, I am the claimant. I am claiming that Femi has defamed me. In this particular scenario, you realize that the burden of proving whether I was defamed, or whether the statement is defamatory, must actually lies on the claimant. So I am the person who should provide proof to the at the court of law, in the court of law, to show that I was defamed. On the other hand, the defendant is the person saying that whatever I wrote about David or about Deborah is true. So I did not defame him or her. So I did not defame him. So you see, one party, claimant, is trying to prove that he was defamed, and the defendant is trying to defend himself by saying that I did not defame him, by also providing proof of his statements or her statements. Now, defense always comes when the judges have ruled in favor of the claimant. So if the court rules in favor of the claimant, then that means the defendant has lost the case. So the part that is remaining is you are defending yourself. The defendant is defending himself now. Because now what he presented before the court does not hold waters. It has found him guilty. Ni ile wakati unaambiwangwa ujitetee, kwa sababu sasa umepatikana wewe ni guilty. Sasa jitetee. Tumefikia sasa hapo. Umepatikana wewe ni guilty, ni kweli ya kwamba ile information ulipublish kuhusu XYZ ni ya uongo. Sasa wewe jitetee. Now, the defendant here must prove that whatever he wrote about the claimant is true. Lazima approve, aonyeshe ya kwamba kile ambacho niliandika kuhusu XYZ ni ukweli mtupu. Hakuna kitu nimesema ya uongo. Na akiwa ana present that what he is presenting, the evidence, he must, when he's presenting whatever he's presenting, he must provide the evidence. Kama unasema aliua, then show us the photographs or the recordings or the recordings of a conversation, etc., that shows that it is true. Or show us documents, etc. The next thing, again, the court may rule in favor of the defendant. If the court rules in favor of the defendant, then that means the person claiming to be defamed, that is the claimant, has lost the case. Therefore, the burden of proving that the statement was true, it was false, lies on the claimant. Sasa claimant atasimama pale aseme whatever XYZ said about me is false, and he must also give proof of recordings, proof of, for example, a photograph, proof of a statement that was published, or that, or even an agreement that was made. All this proof, and then the court will look at this proof and decide. They're going actually now to do what? To decide on that case or on that matter based on the proof that has been brought before them. The next, what we call defense is, the next defense is fair comment. Tell me, what do you understand by fair comment? Femi, we are waiting. What do you understand by the term fair comment?
I think it's a comment that is acceptable or fair, that is not yenye haina ubaguzi.
So when you talk about fair comment, we are saying that the person who was involved in writing the statement, that is the defendant, can also tell the court that whatever he wrote was just a statement. It was a statement that was made, and this statement or comment was actually an open and honest opinion. Open and honest opinion. Of course, you have to provide proof. So this honest opinion, or this thing called fair comment, it allows a person to publish a statement of opinion or as comment on a matter of public interest. Matters of public interest are things to do with, for example, COVID-19 or coronavirus is a matter of public interest. I don't know that we watched the news yesterday. Femi, were you able to watch the news yesterday? I want to give an example there. Femi?
No, I was not able to watch the news.
Alid, were you able to watch the news yesterday?
News? Which news?
I'm talking about, were you able to watch news yesterday?
Yes.
Which one? Which TV station?
Al Jazeera, Citizen.
Al Jazeera and Citizen.
Yes.
Yeah, if you watch Citizen, those who watch Citizen TV.
Yes. I know the news you mean. The 3 guys who are arrested in Nakuru.
I'm not talking about the 3 guys who were arrested in Nakuru. My example is this one. There was a person in Kisii that actually came from Tanzania, and he was demanding conjugal rights from the wife.
Okay.
And the wife decided to take the matter. No, the wife didn't want it, because he was actually saying that you're demanding this and there is corona, etc. So the wife decided to take the matter to the chief, and the guy was actually tested and he was found to be positive. And the whole family was taken to quarantine. Now that is the scenario that I'm giving. So when you talk about fair comment, we are talking about you being able to give an opinion or to publish a statement of opinion as a comment. And this comment must be of public interest. Remember, the subject here is corona, and corona is a public interest thing. If you have a kidnapper in your society, the kidnapping is a public interest thing. Child trafficking is a public interest thing. Why? Because it affects the public in general. If you're not able to expose the kidnapper, then the kidnapper will deal with you properly. So as long as you're providing information about a public opinion, you are giving opinion, and these opinions are honest opinion, then you can actually tell the court that it was a fair comment. Of course, when you're talking about a fair comment, this must be provided without malice. Malice is malicious, that you're doing this to punish this other person. You are doing this to make sure that this person is demoted from the office or is demoted from the government top official or something like that. So it must not be done without, I mean, it must be done without malice. It must also be done without what we call ulterior motives. You did not have other motives. You did not have any other, I mean, you did not have any motive as far as those statements are concerned. So for you to actually ensure that for the fair comment to be effective, then the following should apply. I'm posting it right now. The following should apply. So the comment must be a matter of public interest. It must be something that touches so much on the public. We have said, for example, if you're talking about coronavirus, the comment must be recognized as a comment. You see, there are sometimes you realize that some comments don't even look like comments. They look like facts. So the comment must be recognizable as a comment. The comment must be based upon facts that are true or privileged. So the comment must be based upon facts that are true. Like, for example, if you talk about China and the virus, the coronavirus, whatever comments that you make, it must be having the basis of truth with it. Like you say that corona started in Wuhan, China. You see, that is the basis of corona. That is true. Now make your comment. Don't say that the epicenter of coronavirus, that the coronavirus started at Guangzhou, China. And then you start making your comments. No, that one is very wrong, because the basis of your comment in the first place is wrong. So the basis of your comment must be true. Like, for example, maybe there was a thief in your community. Maybe there was a thief in your community, and he was stealing. He was stealing cows. He was stealing everything that he actually would come across with, and it has now taken a long time since he stole. In short, it's like he was converted to maybe he is now a good person, and he now does not steal. and all of a sudden a cows disappear in your community, and then you make a statement that is false about this guy, or that he stole, or maybe you give an opinion that maybe your ng'ombe imeibiwa na so and so. You see, that is an opinion, and that opinion must be based on facts. You are basing that, you are saying that simply because he used to steal. But if this person never stole, and he never stole, and he had, I mean, initially he has never stolen in his entire life. Let's just say that, and you say that maybe so and so stole your cow, then that means your opinion is not based on facts. The next point, the comment must be fair as judged objectively. It must be fair, meaning what? That whatever you are saying is fair, and it must be judged objectively. And the person making the comment must not be motivated by malice. This one we have said, that when you are making a comment, you must not be motivated by malicious acts. You are not doing that so that this person may be burned alive. You are not saying doing that so that this person may be shunned off by the community, or may be drawn out of that community. You are not saying that so that this person and his family may suffer and you are happy on the other hand. No, you are not motivated by malice at all. You're just saying because that is your opinion, and according to you that is true. Any question? Do you have any question? Or we move to the next?
No.
Agnes, you are on and off. Do you have any question?
No, I don't have.
What is happening? You are on and off.
I can't hear you clearly. It's because I can't hear you clearly.
But I can hear you. Sharon, Maritim, is there any question? Sharon? John? Is there any question, John? Mutinda? So let's move to the next thing. Deborah, you can hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear.
The next thing is consent. When you talk about consent, consent is permission. Consent is permission. So a journalist can be given a permission, or else can be given a permission to publish something. For example, maybe you work in a media house. You work in a media house, and you are a reporter, or maybe you are, let's say, an editor, or maybe you are just a journalist. You are a writer in a certain media house, and anytime you write a story, it needs to go through your boss. And your boss looks at the story. He has to go through the story, edit the story, and after editing the story, the boss will tell you, now you can take it for publication. And now, because you have worked with your boss for a very long time, this boss of yours has trusted you so much to an extent that he now believes that he believes in you, that you can write a story without mistakes, and a story that is straightforward. Now it comes to a point, now he doesn't look at what you write. He just tells you, just go and publish the story. Just go and publish the story. So anytime you write a story, he tells you, now go and publish the story. You see, he has given you the consent. So if you publish the story, for example, he tells you, now go and publish the story as usual. And then it happens that the story is defamatory, or the news that you have just written, now it has become defamatory. And now you have to present, somebody comes complaining and saying, in a particular section of the newspaper, you defamed me. And he decides, or he threatens you to go to court. And actually he goes to court, and you are summoned in court. The moment you are summoned in court, actually the person who will be summoned in court will be your boss. Because you are summoned in court. Let's say you, the writer, you have been summoned in court. When you are summoned in court, you must be able to provide a document showing that you are given permission to publish that story. That now should come from your boss. Lazima uonyeshe ya kwamba nilipewa permission na my boss to publish this story. If you can show that, then your boss will actually be the one standing in the court. Now the ball rolls back to your boss, and you'll be left out. So in short, what we are saying, if you are working for a company, or if you are working in a media house, and your boss gives you the consent must be in a permanent form. It must be written. It must be in form of an SMS. It must be in form of an email. Don't always allow your boss to tell you, publish the story. Tell him to write you an email. Because if you publish that story, and that story tends to be defamatory, then your boss can also do what? Your boss can deny that. He can deny and say, I did not tell this young man or this young lady to publish that story. So he went ahead and published it. So you actually be left with that particular case to deal with. So whenever you are given a story to publish, always seek for consent. And this consent must be in written form. This consent must be in written form. It must be in recorded form. Something that if it turns to be defamatory, then you can be able to do what? To defend yourself by showing the evidence. That is actually rolling the ball to the person who is supposed to give the consent, and you'll be free as far as consent is concerned. Kuna swali? Do we have a question from any one of us?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Agnes.
So, like, I want to give an example, like, say, like NTV, where we see Dennis Okari doing some documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember one which was like, I don't remember the school, but it was a school in Thika where a student died. And then the school was now blaming it to the child. Walikuwa wanasema now the child side is the one which has a problem, that she had her own issues. But now Dennis Okari was saying that it was the school that was beating those students so much. Now, first, now can that story like be classified as a defamatory because he was trying to defame the school or the principal?
Now, before we said that before you decide whether the story is defamatory, there are three things that you must put in consideration. Number one, you must put into consideration the content. So the content of the story must be put into consideration. So we are saying that the content in that particular scenario must be defamatory. The second thing, it must be referred to the claimant. The statement must refer to the person. And the third thing, the person claiming to be defamed. And the third thing, it must be published to a third party. So when you talk about that particular story, about Dennis Okari and the principal, I think Dennis Okari tried as much as possible to show us the proof, because we could see it's a documentary. But now the principal, on the other hand, is trying to do what? To deny it. So if I was the court of law listening to these cases, then I would actually tell the principal to bring the proof that it was not true. That whatever Dennis Okari covered was not true. And Dennis Okari would come up with what we call a proof. And the proof there is the documentary. So if I was the judge, I would actually say that Dennis Okari would win the case.
So, like this, like, well, I have a friend who is a journalist, and she told me that once you become a senior anchor, you don't need like permission. You are not even given any directives on go and look for a story here and here. You have to look for it yourself. So say I'm a journalist and then I go and find a story that can be defamatory and I do it. When I go to court, as long as I win, as long as I have the evidence, even if that person takes me to court, there is no problem.
Now let me tell you one thing. So long as you, if you do a story, you as a journalist, of course, the reason why you are doing media law and ethics is to guide you not to do what? Actually to protect. When we started this particular unit, we said that the reason why we, one of the objectives is that for you now to be able to protect somebody's reputation. That someone's reputation in the Kenyan constitution, they say that in a person's reputation is one of the most expensive, one of the most expensive properties. So we are supposed to actually do what? We're supposed to protect someone's reputation, because defamation is all about reputation. So you as a journalist, always check whether your facts are right. Because if you are taken to court, you'll be there to prove that whatever you have written or whatever you have said about somebody, whether it is true or false. If it is false, then that is defamation. But if it is true about that person, then that is not defamation. So you as the journalist must be able to prove that the information that you got from the field is true about a certain subject or a certain person. If that person says that whatever you wrote about me or whatever you wrote about me or whatever you published about me is false, then that person can sue you for defamation. Of course, he needs to have what we call proof. You also as a journalist, you need to have proof that whatever you have or whatever you have written is true about a certain individual.
Okay.
Yes. So that's why you are doing media law and ethics, so that you know these principles. Do you have any other question from anybody? Do you have any question before I proceed to the next level? So we have looked at consent. So we are going to something else called offer to make amends. We are going to offer to make amends. That is our number 4. In offer to make amends, this actually is all about you write a defamatory statement, or you write a news, or you publish something, and all of a sudden it turns out to be defamatory. So once it turns out to be defamatory, the person comes claiming that you defamed me in a certain newspaper, say Nation newspaper, I was defamed. Then you read the statement and you realize, kusema ukweli tulidefame huyu mtu. So what you do is that you have to now to talk with this person. You can decide to tell this person, we are very sorry. Like I believe you watched Citizen TV when they were talking, when they were giving an apology as far as Magufuli is concerned. Walikuwa wanasema ya kwamba walikuwa wameandika, wametupea news, wanasema ukaidi wa Magufuli, halafu pia wakaanza kutupea apology. Femi, did you watch that? Femi? Anyway,
No,
now
I didn't watch it.
now that is what you have to offer an apology. First, you need to apologize to that person. After apologizing to that person, you need to do what? You need to give him an offer. You need to tell him, now we know that we defamed you. We are very sorry. After you are very sorry, you need to provide an offer. Say for example, you can decide, kwa sababu tulikukosea na tuliandika statements ambazo si kweli kukuhusu, sisi tunakupea offer ya 10 million. Because of what you underwent, because of what you underwent, the emotional stress and so on and so forth. This person may accept, or he may accept the offer or reject the offer. If this person rejects the offer, the next move he will make, he will go to court, and the court will decide on this. So you're supposed to show the court that we apologized, and then we gave an offer. Maybe the court can listen to that before it does what is called, before it makes its final decision. So that is offer to make amends. That is, you only offer to make amends if you realize that you made a mistake. You cannot offer to make amends and you didn't make any mistake. If there is any question, always you have a public chat there, you can chat. The next thing, or the next defense, is what we call qualified. No, I want this one. This one you're going to read for yourself. Utajisomea. The next one is innocent dissemination. This one you will read for yourself. And the third one, the sixth one, is what we call qualified privilege. Qualified privilege. Qualified privilege is our number 6, even though I'm going to share the notes with you. And then we move to something else. And this something else is we are talking about damages for libel. Let me project that. So we have damages for libel, and when you talk about damages for libel, we either have what we call compensatory damages, and compensatory damages are awarded to put the claimant back into the position that he would have been in if the defamatory statement was not published. We are saying that for example, you are a doctor and somebody wrote a defamatory statement about you. Maybe he said that you're the one who helps young girls to do what? To do an abortion. And from that, what he published, you are able to make losses. Your clients ran away and so on and so forth. You ended up even closing that particular hospital or that clinic. Now, compensatory damages means that the person, the defendant, will be asked by the court or will be directed by the court to pay you the losses that you underwent when your shop was closed. Maybe you make 1 million shillings every day. So Agnes is asking whether it is necessary to pay the person you have defamed. Is publishing an apology? Now, whether to pay the person you have defamed, whether or not to pay the person you have defamed, Agnes, that one lies on the discretion of the court. It is the court that decides. The court may decide that nobody is going to pay anybody. Hiyo kesi imeishia hapo. Then he's asking, is publishing an apology not enough? That one now, Agnes, it depends on you, the party, and you, the person that has been defamed and you. If the person has told you, I want you to make an apology, I'm okay. Ni kama vile mnapelekwa kwa chief. Chief anawaambia kaeni hapo nje muelewane. Mkishaelewana, then ni hivyo. Huyu jamaa akishakubali the 10 million, it is okay. Akishakwambia mimi sitaki apology, we nilipe, it is okay. It depends on how you actually are able to come into agreement. So it is, he can actually say, just make an apology for 1 week. Then after making an apology for 1 week, me, I'm okay, don't pay me. Or he can actually tell you, I want you to pay me 10 million. If you're able to pay me 10 million, it is okay. I'm not going to take this case anywhere. Who pays the defamed? The person, the defendant. Okay, as far as who pays the defamed is concerned, it depends again, Agnes. The person who pays the defamed, for example, if I take you to court for defaming me and I lose the case, if I lose the case as the claimant, then you, the defendant, will pay me. Of course, this one will be decided by the court whether you will pay me or not. If you lose the case as the defendant, the court will direct you on what to do. It will either direct you to pay me for the damages, or it will actually take you to jail. Inaweza amua hatutaki damages, ama lipa damages na uende jail, ama lipa ulipe damages and it is well with you. So that one lies under the discretion of the court. Then you are also asking, is it the media house you work for or your publisher? Or I don't understand this one. Also this one, the last point is the case, is the court that decides. Then let's look, go to the next thing. I hope I've answered you, Chelsea. I hope I've answered you. I want to finish. I want to finish. Have I answered your questions?
Yes, you have.
Then there is what we call aggravated damages. They are awarded in addition to the compensatory damages, where the behavior of the defendant has somehow added the injury to the claimant. That as far as compensatory damages are concerned, we have paid you the compensatory damages. Now there is what we call the injury that you have caused to me. Sema kwa mfano, in the course of me closing my clinic, there is also another injury that you added to me. Let's say for example, mlikuja na mkanichomea duka, umenidefame na pia ukatuma watu fulani, kikundi fulani, wakakuja wakachoma kliniki yangu. So these are called aggravated damages. And then we have the last one, which is called the exemplary damages. These one are just there to actually punish the defendant. So koti inaweza amua kukuchukua wewe kudefame wengine, ikufunge miaka 5 gerezani ama miaka 3, ukae huko. So that one has actually been made there to punish you as the defendant. Do you have any question? If you have any question, you can ask. Because of that, I think tafadhali usilog out. What I'm saying is this, those whom we started with, I told them that our class is going to end at around 9, at 10. So I have 5 minutes to the class, I mean for this particular class to end. Okay, I'm not going to end the class just like that. I'm not going to end the class just like that. What we are going to do, there is a video that I'm going to attach in the next 2 minutes. This video, you're going, a link, kuna link nita attach. Go to that link, click on that link, watch that video, then come back. There is a discussion forum that I'm going to create. Discuss what I will tell you to discuss. Actually, essentials of defamation is what you're going to discuss. Post in that particular forum. Post in that particular forum. Remember, I'll only tick you are present when I go back to the forum and I see that you contributed to it. If you do not contribute anything to that forum, I'm not going to tick you as present. So nafaa kuona jina Chelsea hapo, nafaa kuona jina ya Sharon hapo, nafaa kuona jina ya Deborah hapo, Femi, John Mutinda, nafaa kukuona hapo, na Khalid Nur, nafaa kuona picha zenu hapo. I mean majina yenu hapo na contribution ambayo umemake. If I don't see that, then I'm not going to tick you as present. Just know you are absent in this particular class. So in the next 1 hour, I want you to let me attach what I have so that you can do the necessary. So I want you to go to that link, watch that video, contribute to the, what we call the discussion forum. Then from there, I'll come and tick those who are present. And when I come to tick those who are present, I must also, I will also do what? Open the notes for this particular unit. So tuonane. So I am ending the meeting.